Thank you so much to everyone who left comments or messaged me after my last video. I really appreciate your suggestions. I plan to do all of them. So someone suggested doing a grilled cheese sandwich. I have had like grilled cheese sandwiches before, so they're not super challenging, but this person did suggest doing it on a pan, I assume with like butter and oil or whatever. That does make it a bit of a challenge for me, so I'm gonna have that today. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Yeah, I'm gonna have a grilled cheese sandwich cooked on a pan, which I've never done before. Oh, I've just been reading my book. This is a new book that I've just started. Yesterday I started a book and finished it all in like one sitting, in like 1.5, 2 hours or something, which is crazy for me because I always thought I was a pretty slow reader. But it just goes to show what eating enough and recovery can do for your brain and your body, and now I can read much faster, so it's great. I don't have thoughts of food interrupting me when I'm reading, and it's very nice. The reason that I don't have these thoughts of food anymore is because of recovery and weight gain, nutritional rehabilitation. I want to talk a bit about weight gain and fear of weight gain and a turning point in my recovery, I suppose. So in the past couple of months, I have gained more weight. I had been sort of maintaining maybe, but I gained more, and some days it's tough, sometimes I feel quite uncomfortable, but on the whole, it's really not that bad. Gaining weight is not that bad. It's good. Gaining weight is good. But the reason I gained weight this time could be to do partly with lockdown and staying at home and all that. But I actually think it's more likely due to a new medication that I started taking 2 months ago for depression. And before my psychiatrist prescribed me this medication, he said, now you might not want to take this medication because one of the side effects is weight gain. In fact, when I talked to a friend about this afterwards, she said, yeah, I would never take that medication. I would never take a medication that would make me gain weight. But when my psychiatrist said this to me, I said, so what? Give me the medication. If you think it's going to help me then, and I gain weight, so be it. Like getting out of depression, having a good mood is so much more important to me than my physique or whatever. The fact that he even thought to bring that up as a reason not to take the medication, I was like, that's kind of crazy to me. Like, honestly, who cares if you gain weight? If this is the medication that you need for your health, then, and it makes you gain a bit of weight, then that's just how it is. Like, what is this fat phobic society that we're living in, that people would turn down medication for depression, that people would continue to live in the misery of depression, all because they might gain a couple of kilos if they started medication that helps. So I started taking the medication because that was a no-brainer to me. Like, yeah, the medication, I think it has made me gain a bit of weight because it did increase my appetite. Arguably is a good thing for someone who suffers from anorexia, right? Eating more is always going to be the safer option rather than eating less. So if we're taking something that increases our appetite and drives us to eat more, then that's probably a good thing, because it's going to stop us from unintentionally getting into a calorie deficit and triggering our eating disorders. However, The annoying thing about this medication and the way that increases appetite is that you take this medication at night and then it increases your appetite like an hour after you've taken it when you're meant to be sleeping, and it just gives you mad mental hunger. I cannot stand mental hunger, so I eat because that's what I've learned to do. So yeah, I have gained weight. The medication has not helped that much with my depression, so I'm now in the process of trying to get off it, which is another kettle of fish. Not a fun time. But the point is, how great is it that my fear of weight gain is reducing and that I don't immediately freak out about taking a medication that might make me gain weight? Because health is more important. Health is the most important thing. Whoops. There are a few other things I want to mention about medication before I post this video. Just for some background on my experience, I started taking medication for anxiety and for depression last year in May, I think, May 2019, because I would feel extremely anxious about everything, not just food, but everything in the day. And I told my psychiatrist that I tried to do like mindfulness meditation in the morning, and I would spend that 10 minutes just worrying about every little thing in the day, and every day was like that. I also struggled really badly with low mood, and after eating my mood would drop significantly to a point that I don't think I had seen other people talk about. Yeah, just very dark thoughts, and I started medication and that made a huge difference to my recovery. It took about 6 weeks or so to work, but it did reduce the anxiety and it helped a lot with the low mood as well, so that I did feel able to eat and I wouldn't end up in that really dark place, even though it was still hard, but not as hard as it had been. There is no shame in taking medication, absolutely not. My study, I'm part of a lab group that does research on mental health, so I do view like depression and anxiety and eating disorders from a very biological standpoint, and I think it's just like a physical illness. If you needed medication for your heart or for a broken bone or something, you would take it, and I do think it's the same for mental health and taking medication for that. The issue is, of course, is that we have much less knowledge about what actually works for mental illnesses, and so taking medication can feel like a bit of a gamble, and that's a bit scary. But that medication did really help me. Unfortunately, the effects sort of wore off this year, and so that's why I was trying out a different medication. I also want to say that I think you will probably have an idea of whether medication might be something worth trying for yourself. I had been to a psychiatrist at an earlier point in my recovery and wondered if medication might be something that could help me, and I should have got a second opinion at that point, but I didn't. I was she didn't give me medication, and it turns out that medication has really helped my recovery a lot. A while after that appointment, I ended up relapsing, and now I'm recovering from that relapse right now. I know that there are different schools of thought, and some people think that you should recover from your eating disorder first, or to a certain point before you receive medication for depression or anxiety, because that might just be a consequence of your eating disorder. And so when you gain weight, those depressive and anxious symptoms might also decline. I think that a lot of people, myself included, have a good idea of whether that is going to be the case for them. And for me, gaining weight doesn't help my depression, unfortunately, and I still experience anxiety as well. It's just that when I'm at a lower weight, my depression and my anxiety is more closely linked to food, but at a higher weight I still experience those symptoms. And so I was fortunate this time around to see a psychiatrist who recognised that and said, well, let's work on your depression and your anxiety at the same time as we work on recovering from your eating disorder. That was very helpful for me, because it is really hard when you gain weight, you're doing recovery, but then your other mental illnesses re-emerge, and that can really set you back a lot. So I do think it is important to work on your other mental illnesses in addition to your eating disorder, and that's why as well now I am seeing a second therapist for my depression, in addition to my therapist for my eating disorder, which is a lot. And then also I just want to say, if you're recovering from your eating disorder and you're not taking medication, then that's absolutely great as well. Like, your eating disorder is no less valid if you're not taking medication, because we all know eating disorders are so tricksy and always trying to make us feel like our illness is invalid, that we're not sick enough. Yeah, I want to jump on that before your eating disorder tells you that because you're not taking medication, you're not really that sick. That's not true. That is not true at all. Your illness is still valid. Okay, it really doesn't matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if other people are taking medication and you are not. It doesn't matter if other people are not taking medication and you are. It's your journey, it's your life. Everyone is unique. Our brains are all unique. Do what you need to do for your own recovery. Okay, I'm going to sign off here before this video gets really long, but thank you so much for watching. If anyone has any more challenge ideas or questions or suggestions, just feel free to comment or send me a message, and I'll record again soon. Lots of love to you. Bye.